you on my back defending me. It's fantastic. Okay, hi guys, welcome. I'm Catherine, for anybody who doesn't know me yet. This is Punch Life Back. This is where we honor the heroes within ourselves and we explore what it takes to live fearlessly and punch back whenever life knocks us down. And let's get into it. We're going to talk about self-esteem. Oh, thank you, Mrs. Scott Evans, for sharing that. I think I'm really excited today because I'm talking really fast. Am I? I feel like I am, but I'm on this high because I said yes to myself and I built up my self-esteem and it's awesome. So yeah, hold on. It's really hot in here. My excitement is also making me hot. Great. Just what I want. To sweat all over the place. Okay, so we're gonna, this cast today is gonna have work threaded throughout it. So get out some paper and I do have your axe. That's so great, Upright Oracle. Yeah, okay, so get out a piece of paper, do the exercise if you want to. If you don't want to do them now, you want to do them later, get the stream notes. You know the jam. So my first question to you guys is just on a scale of 1 to 10, I want you to write down or share in chat how much self-esteem you have right now. So 1 being absolutely none, 10 being as much self-esteem as you possibly can have. I think I would say right now I'm a 9 because I just celebrated myself and that felt great. So I'm a 9. I've got a lot of self-esteem today. I'm not always like that. Some days, like when something hard happens, it goes way down. Great. Thank you for sharing them, Sis Scott Evans. Great, great, great. All right. So, psychology holds that our self-esteem, and we got an 8, and damn, Deuternijo, you're a 10? I want some of that. Maybe you can throw in some awesomeness as I go through this today. Man, we've got a lot of great self-esteem going on here. I love it. Love it, love it. Okay, so psychology holds that our self-esteem or our lack of self-esteem is directly tied to our personal beliefs around how worthy we are, how valuable we are as human beings. Okay, so it's tied to our personal belief about how worthy we are. Okay, that's crucial. And evolutionary theory also backs this up. So Mark Leary is a social psychologist, and he works with evolutionary theory a lot in his practice, and he developed the sociometer theory, which says that self-esteem is an internal gauge, so again, this thing that's going on inside us, of the degree to which one is included versus excluded by others. So, and this makes sense evolutionarily speaking, because again, I think we talk about this a lot, but if you get rejected by your tribe back in the Ice Age or whatever, you are gonna die. So acceptance and rejection, being included or excluded, was literally life or death. And our brains are still programmed that way, even though the reality is that that's really, really not likely anymore for you. So yeah, in other words, another way to look at this is that our self-esteem is an internal creation based on our anticipation of acceptance or rejection. And so our self-esteem is high when we believe people accept us or will accept us, and it's low when we believe people are rejecting us or will reject us. So right now I feel really high because I celebrated myself. You guys celebrated back with me in chat. Like I feel accepted, right? I accepted myself. So it's all self-esteem roses. Okay, but here's the thing. So deep down, we are all really afraid that we aren't worthy of love and belonging, and therefore we'll be permanently and universally rejected. And we're afraid of that because of this evolutionary thing that says, hey, if you're not worthy of love and belonging, you are literally going to die because nobody's gonna be there for you. Upright Oracle, you're saying FOMO can be a big deal, the fear of missing out. Yeah, tell me more about that. Tell me more. How FOMO affects your self-esteem. I definitely don't like it when I see my friends have all been invited to go do something awesome and I haven't. But I don't recognize that as FOMO, but that's how I would connect it. Okay, so I have, like, as I like to do, you guys know I love Brene Brown. I'm gonna turn off the music here. And we're gonna watch a really... Oh, Tiki Meher. Hi, Tiki Meher. FOMO stands for fear of missing out. Fear of missing out. So we are gonna watch like a super short Brene Brown video because it's awesome and she's awesome, and it gets right at this idea of our self-esteem is tied to our belief about how worthy we are or aren't. So let's get this going.
I think the big thing about worthiness is that there are no prerequisites for worthiness. There is, I think most of us think, I'm pretty worthy of love and belonging, but I'd be super worthy of love and belonging if I could lose 15 pounds. Or I'm made partner, or my wife doesn't leave, or I stay sober, or whatever our thing is. And the hard thing about worthiness is there are no prerequisites for worthiness. Worthiness is an as-is, here and now proposition. That this is, and to me, that's the definition of wholeheartedness. Wholeheartedness is about engaging with the world from a place of worthiness.
Are you either a person who feels a sense of worthiness or not, or can you work on your worthiness?
I do think it's about figuring out, where did that come from? Where does the pool of shame come from? And I think in our families, we get handed down explicitly or not explicitly, right?
Yes.
Those prerequisites for worthiness. And sometimes it's because our parents look at us and say, here's what you need to do and be and look like to be worthy. And sometimes it's just, we just watch.
And sometimes it's what we've done to ourselves.
All right. Not gonna let you two get away with doing more. Okay. Where were we? I feel naked without the musica. Oh, I shouldn't do Spanish. I just really shouldn't. All right. So I just love that because she has such a great way of like getting in there at the heart of worthiness. And she says, no, there are no prerequisites, right? Like we get prerequisites. We adopt prerequisites. That's such a hard word to say. We adopt prereqs from our families, the messages we heard while we were growing up, from our culture, the messages we continue to hear from our culture, okay? But at the core of who we are just because we are worthy of love and belonging. We are worthy. We are full of worthiness. And it's only when we tell ourselves a different story that we create a different reality for ourselves. When we're like it's like we're setting limitations on ourselves. Like, I will be worthy when I'm rich. Like that's one of mine. That is one of mine that lurks there. It's like, I will be worthy of love and belonging when I'm rich. Like that's a prison I just put onto myself. Me alone, nobody else but me, because I've adopted this prereq. Right? Like that's how we undermine our self-esteem. And how we also let others undermine our self-esteem. So Upright Oracle, for FOMO, you were saying it's a form of rejection because it hurts to not be with the in crowd. Oh, okay, yeah. So for you, the fear of missing out is if you're telling yourself something like this, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, that when I'm not invited, it's because I'm not fun. It's because I'm not cool enough to be in the in crowd. It's because I'm not pretty enough. It's like there's something I'm not blank enough to be worthy of that invitation. So yeah, definitely that would be, if that's how you experience FOMO, then yeah, it's directly tied to your self-esteem. And it's probably the story you're giving yourself about why you weren't invited. Because there's other options, right? That probably have nothing to do with you as a person. Like, oh, they could only have 10 people and, you're just not their best friend yet, right? Like, there could be other stories that are also true or more true that you could choose to tell yourself instead. That'd be amazing, Tiki Meher, if we could just, like, mute ourselves so we'd be like Still being able to like say it, but just muting it. Yes, okay, so this is Scott Evans. Yeah, you're saying that once you get over one prereq, oh, that word, it feels like another one pops up. And that's how I experience it too. So it's like my self-esteem is something that fluctuates, and I think it does for everybody. It's not like we have it or we don't have it. It's that we're experiencing it on that sliding scale in any given moment. And when it takes a hit, it's because we're telling ourselves something that just that translates to, oh, no, you're really not worthy. So you're not an 8, you're not a 9, you're not a 10, you're not a 7, you're not a 6, you're a 3. Or you're a 4. Or maybe you're a 0 today, right? Like it's the story you're telling yourself. So, but it makes a lot of sense that as a new thing pops up in your life, a new adversity, you're going to interpret that maybe in a new way that you haven't addressed before. So it is like there's going to be challenges to your self-esteem all the time. It's relentless, especially in our highly connected world. So it's about learning how to deal with those thoughts and then to deal with them, to actually take responsibility for your own self-esteem and to do the work required to take care of yourself. I am on a roll today. I feel like powerful. I feel like I'm on a soapbox, but nobody cares. Like that you all love it. I love my optimistic delusions. They're fantastic. Okay, so yeah, Duder Nijo, you're saying that I don't have control over becoming rich, so it doesn't make sense to hang my value on it. Yeah, like I agree with you in that, and I like where you're going, I think is really applicable to so many of the things that the prereqs we put on ourselves. For me, with wealth, like I do have to take responsibility for my money and how I manage it or don't manage it. And so there's an amount of responsibility I have to do in order to be rich. But there's also a lot of luck involved, right? And like in any big endeavor. So yeah, it's interesting. It's really interesting. And I actually came up with an antidote to my negative belief that I'll be worthy of belonging when I'm rich. And I'm going to share that later. And I think that'll unpack it a little bit more for us. Oh, wow, you're doing really well with English. I can't even, like when I type in chat, it's awful. So congrats there. Yeah, so Mrs. Scott Evans, you're saying that there's kind of this like constant bombardment of outside voices. And that's totally true. Like because we're social creatures, that our survival depended on being part of the in crowd, right? Like being accepted. Our brains are constantly looking for ways in which we're going to be accepted or rejected. And we get all these messages all the time from culture about what's pretty, what's successful, the list goes on. And so, yeah, like all the time, like our prereqs, like babies don't have them, right? Like they just don't have them. They believe, like they don't even know to question whether or not they're worthy. They just are. But as we grow up, and as and this may be it, I don't know, this is just me thinking, but as they grow up and they realize how dependent they are on their parents for their survival, like that's when children start to behave and start to conform to whatever prereqs their parents are teaching them. That doesn't stop, guys. That's what we do. That's how our brains work. So yeah, it's kind of like we have this responsibility to be vigilant and just to question those prereqs, right? And when they're not accurate, like challenge them. Yeah, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So we will definitely get there. Okay, so that being said, go ahead and like write down. You'll get the most benefit, I believe, if you write this stuff down. You don't have to. You can always, if you want to be super bold, you can put some of these in chat, which I would love. I'm going to share I think I did like 6 of my prereqs with you guys, so I'm going to get vulnerable. But anyways, what you're going to do is you're going to write down right now what your current prereqs are to worthiness. And you want to start the sentence, each of them is going to have their own sentence, and you want to start it with this phrasing. You want to say, I'll be worthy of love and belonging when fill in the blank. So again, one of mine was, I'll be worthy of love and belonging when I'm rich. So go ahead and just take some time to do that right now. And for those of you who aren't doing that, I'm going to share some of mine with you guys and check in with oh, hey, DevTick. Yeah, so what we're saying, so we're looking at self-esteem, and what we're learning is that self-esteem is directly tied to our sense, our belief in our worthiness. So, and even though I'm trying to explain this succinctly, it's kind of challenging. This is great. We are all inherently, just because we exist, we are worthy, right? We're valuable as human beings. We have a ton of potential. We bring our own uniqueness to the world. We're just worthy of love and belonging as is. But our families, our culture tells us, gives us prerequisites to worthiness. So in other words, instead of believing I am worthy of love and belonging, we believe things like, I'll be worthy of love and belonging when I'm rich, when I'm famous, when I'm beautiful, when I'm smarter, right? We have these prereqs that get in the way from us actually having self-esteem today. So I hope that explains it. And yeah, so this is Punch Life Back. I'm Punch Life Back. On Thursdays, we honor the hero in ourselves, and we just really have conversations around what it takes to live fearlessly and to punch back whenever life knocks us down. So that's what we do. I'm a life coach, so this is what I love to do. As you can tell, I'm talking really fast and I'm excited today. Okay, so Upright Oracle says, when I finish my book, when I lose weight, when I have a house and less debt. Hey, yeah, I'm relating to some of those. Tiki Maher, when I'm funny, fit, attractive, adventurous, knowledgeable, smart, creative. Woo! That is some baggage. Those are a lot of items. Yeah, I've got them too. I think I listed, 6 down? Thank you for being brave, you guys, and sharing some of those. So I have, I'll be worthy of love and belonging when I'm rich, when I'm married with children, when I have my master's degree. Hey! Woohoo! DevTech, welcome! Thank you for following. That's awesome. I'm getting one step closer every day to affiliate. Woohoo! All right, yeah. So when I'm married and have kids, when I have my master's degree, I've got one that's super tricky for me, but it's basically I'll be worthy of love and belonging when I save whoever I feel whoever I love and is struggling. So it can be anybody. I have people in my life that I'm man, if I could just save them, then I'd be worthy of love and belonging. When I never make mistakes and when I have clear skin. I'm hoping you guys can't tell, but I do not have clear skin. I hate my skin. Yeah, so those are some of mine. So yeah, if you don't feel comfortable, oh cool, DevTech, you're jumping in. I love it. So you say when I gain weight, when I overcome my depression, when I move out. Yeah, we put all these things on us. These are little jail cells that we put on ourselves, and you can kind of see how it's not impossible to actually succeed and fulfill all our prereqs, but some of them they're not even worth pursuing. Some of them, right? They're these hollow, empty things that aren't actually going to bring you happiness or fulfillment or meaning or joy or any of these wonderful things that we want in our life. Yes, acne scars are the worst. Luckily, I don't have cystic acne so much, so I've been able to kind of dodge that. But I've got lots of little, they're so annoying. Yeah. So if you don't want to share in chat, you can always email them to me. info@punchlifeback.com. If you don't know how to spell Catherine, at punchlifeback.com, because there's a lot of ways to spell it. So guys, why does self-esteem matter? Right? Like, why? Why? I mean, we kind of know it matters because it feels awful when we don't have it. But there's a lot of research out there that says people with high self-esteem experience more achievement, and they have more positive mental health in their lives. And some of the other benefits are pretty astounding. They tend to get greater enjoyment in life. They're more free from self-doubt. They're more free from anxiety, social anxiety. They're more free from social anxiety. That makes so much sense, because if you're no longer buying into this, my acceptance and rejection depends on others, and you're owning it, like, no, I'm responsible for accepting myself, period. If I feel rejected, it's because I rejected myself, period. What social anxiety would you have? Like, none, right? So there's less stress, there's more energy and more motivation. And when, like, with a healthy level of self-esteem, you're more able to assert or express your needs and your opinions. You're more confident in your ability to make decisions. You're able to form, like, really wonderful relationships, and you're less likely to stay in the unhealthy ones. Yeah, you're, like, more realistic in your expectations, so you're less likely to be overly critical of yourself or other people, and you're more resilient. So you're better able to bounce back from adversity when you have self-esteem. Okay. So Deuter Nico, outside of my control. Oh, wow. Okay, to be worthy of love, there needs to be two people, and the one who is loved and the one who is loving. So from who should I receive love? It's their business. I don't want to live a life where I do things in order to fit into someone's Yes. Yeah, right. Like, part of what you're saying gets into authenticity, which we, like, really delved into last week. And so you might enjoy watching that cast again. But yeah, man. And that is kind of a question, right? Like, in a relationship, right? Like, in a romantic relationship, it's definitely a two-way street. And there does seem to be, like, if you're not receiving love back, like, it's so easy to interpret that in a way that, like, dings your self-esteem. Like, well, I must not be worthy of love and belonging. And yet I've heard, and I am not an expert on this, but I've heard time and time again that until you really love yourself, you can't, like, nobody's really going to be able to love you back, and you're not going to really be able to love anybody else back. And maybe some of the other people in chat can, like, chime into that concept. But yeah, and, like, this idea of self-esteem depending on our sense of worthiness gets right to the core of our self-love. Because if you don't believe you're worthy of love and belonging, you ain't gonna love yourself, right? And why would anybody else love you, right? So it's like, it has to start here. It has to start inside. Yeah, okay. So yeah, so Mrs. Scott Evans has experienced and heard that too. Yeah. And, like, in a way, I feel bad for saying these things because, like, easier said than done, right? It's like, oh, just love yourself more. It's like, well, how the fuck do I do that? This exercise I'm taking you guys through is one way to do that. It's one way to start, like, it's one way to take responsibility for your own worthiness of love and belonging, and your own value as a human being, and to give it to yourself. Because the only one truly taking it away from yourself is you. Yeah. Okay, cool. So, a common theme on this cast is that we create our reality much, much more than we know or care to really admit. And the way I'm starting to think about it is, like, that our brains are like tiny gods, and they're dictating the rules of our individual universe. So we either recognize this reality and take control of the God power, right? Like, we become responsible for it, and we use it in service of our potential, in service of a meaningful, fulfilling life that's full of joy and happiness. Or we deny it, we continue to ignore that reality, and we live trapped in the prison of our own making. And I think self-esteem is a really good example of this process. Yeah, so yeah, Deuternico, accept reality and thus also accept yourself. Yeah, so I want you to remember this because I may forget it. When we get to how to come up with antidotes to these prereqs we're telling ourselves, I want you to think about this again, because I've designed the exercise in a way that if it's not addressing reality, it's not going to work. So what I don't want is to just give you guys an exercise that makes you into such optimists that you don't have the benefit of also seeing the reality of life and taking an honest appraisal of where you could improve, or what really isn't going to work out, what really isn't good for you. So I'm trying to blend to shift us enough to have more of a because what happens is we're like overly negative about ourselves, like we're overly pessimistic about ourselves. So I'm trying to like build in some space here for us to realize that that's not serving us. It's also not true, but not to go so far in the other direction that that's also not true and that's also not serving us. So that idea, Deuternico, of reality, I think might help us down the line here. And I'm hoping, too, that you're getting a sense of self-esteem as an ongoing process, right? It's not this thing that we have or we don't have. It's built, and then an adversity comes up, and it gets torn down a little bit. You take responsibility, and you rebuild it, right? You pay attention to the prereq you're telling yourself, to the interpretation of that adversity that's causing you to feel like you aren't worthy. And we do that moment by moment. We address it one story that we're telling ourselves at a time. So I love doing this. I'm gonna share some quotes from really brilliant people about self-esteem. And if anything jumps out at you as inspiring or kind of like, oh, I never thought of it that way before, like jot it down. It may help you later on in the exercise. So, and I'm gonna talk about the quotes with whatever comes to mind as I go through them. So that should give you guys some time to jot some stuff down if anything strikes you as pretty amazing. So E.E. Cummings says, once we believe in ourselves, we can risk curiosity, wonder, spontaneous delight, or any experience that reveals the human spirit. Once we believe in ourselves, we can risk curiosity, wonder, spontaneous delight, or any experience that reveals the human spirit. This to me is true, because if we are so afraid of being rejected that we don't take chances and get vulnerable, you aren't going to experience wonder. You're not going to experience spontaneity or joy or like bliss. Like you're just not going to have access to the deeply positive experiences in life because they require vulnerability, right? But once you believe that nothing can take away your worthiness, end stop, period, you're willing to take that chance, and the positive experience of life opens up to you. So it's more than just reducing the suffering that we're causing ourselves. It's also increasing the positive experiences that we're going to have, we're going to experience. That was pretty cool. So this is so funny. This quote I saw attributed to Sharon Salzberg and Buddha. I'm guessing it was Sharon because it didn't really sound like Buddha, but I give you both just in case. So the quote is, "You yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection." So you yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. I think this is speaking to those of us, and we are many, who put other people consistently before ourselves. And we do it oftentimes out of love, right? Hi, God, Mrs. Scott Evans is yes. We do it out of love because we love people. We want them to not suffer and be taken care of. We also sometimes do it for a dark reason, which is people pleasing. And that's the one I'm really addressing today, which is your self-worth is based on whether or not people appreciate you, accept you, praise you. And that's what people pleasing we think will get for us. And sometimes that causes us to never take care of ourselves, but only take care of other people. And the Buddha and Sharon are saying that no, you have to love yourself too. The entirety of the quote, I think, would even skew it to you have to love yourself first and foremost, and then you can really be of service to other people. And I subscribe to that for sure. So Deuteronico says, because one believes in oneself, one doesn't try to convince others. Because one is content with oneself, one doesn't need others' approval. Oh, I love this quote. Because one accepts oneself, the whole world accepts him or her. Yes, I did not see that one. That is so good. Yeah. This gets back to I love the quote. I think reality is a little bit different in that when we're really, really, truly authentic, not the whole world isn't going to accept us. There are going to be people who don't like us. And that's actually a great sign that you are being more authentic. You know, like, and I just notice this because, like, the more authentic I get and really share, like, what inspires me about life and how much potential I think people have, there are just people who don't agree with me. And so they're not really going to want to spend time with me. They're going to be kind of turned off by the vibe I'm laying down of excitement and joy and stuff, right? Like, there are people who are highly critical probably aren't really going to enjoy my presence, and that's okay. Yeah. But such a good quote. And, like, there is this, like, there comes this, like, quality of a warrior. Like, and, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, we're exploring the hero in ourselves because there's this quality of the warrior when we take full responsibility for our self-esteem and nobody can touch us. That is such a powerful place. And we're able to, like, marshal everything in service of that. I just think it's so great. Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, he might. So when he says, because one accepts oneself, the whole world accepts him or her. You know what I think it is? I think it's that when you truly accept yourself, you no longer care if people accept or reject you. And in that sense, the whole world accepts you. Does that make sense to me? I think if I try to explain it anymore, it's going to make less sense. I get that feeling. It's an elusive truth. I love this stuff. Love. Okay. I'm going to butcher a name. It's Jodi Picoult. She says, when you're different, sometimes you don't see the millions of people who accept you for what you are. All you notice is the person who doesn't. So when you're different, sometimes you don't see the millions of people who accept you for what you are. All you notice is the person who doesn't. Yeah. And I think that's probably from our negativity bias. And it's another survival mechanism. But the things that are negative are perceived as threats to us. And so our brain gives them more memory space than the positive things that happen. So it makes sense that we're going to remember the one person who rejects us and not the close friends that we have who really accept us. Upright Oracle, unfuckwithable. Yes. I love it. Oh my God. Yeah, I think that should just be like self-esteem equals unfuckable. All right. Dorothy Parker says, this is a poem. In youth, it was a way I had to do my best to please and change with every passing lad to suit his theories. But now I know the things I know and do the things I do. And if you do not like me so, to hell my love with you. I love the way that sounds. So I'm going to do it again. In youth, it was a way I had to do my best to please and change with every passing lad to suit his theories. But now I know the things I know and do the things I do. And if you do not like me so, to hell my love with you. Yeah, so this gets at that people-pleasing part I was talking about, and where, you please people because you want so desperately to feel loved. You want so desperately to belong. And then as you grow up and you step into your own as an adult and you start to like hear your authentic voice more and you start to express it and share it, like you get to a point where no. Like if you don't like this, then to hell. Like I don't care. I don't need you in my life. I don't need you anymore because I am worthy. I've created my own sense of worth. It doesn't depend on you. And she's definitely touching on like how some people in relationships completely change themselves in order to be accepted by their romantic partner. And this is her little poem that's her journey away from doing that. Yeah, it's a good one, isn't it, Upright Oracle? Okay. So Deuternico says, who then is invincible? The one who cannot be upset by anything outside their reasoned choice. Dang, Deuternico, you're like full of these. This is great. Yes. Who then is invincible? The one who cannot be upset by anything outside their reasoned choice. Yeah, like exactly that unfuckable, that unflappable person. Like their dignity exists no matter what somebody does to them. It's not something that it's not something that anybody can take away. In fact, Michael J. Fox says, one's dignity may be assaulted, vandalized, and cruelly mocked, but it can never be taken away unless it is surrendered. One's dignity may be assaulted, vandalized, and cruelly mocked, but it can never be taken away unless it is surrendered. Guys, that's what we're doing every single day when we don't take responsibility for our self-esteem. We're surrendering it. We're surrendering it to what culture says we should do or what our families say we should do. What culture and families tell us make us worthy. Like, don't surrender it. Don't give it away. Take responsibility. Yeah. So I'm really going to butcher this name. Michel de Montagnana. It's French. I'm terrible. Okay. The greatest thing in the world is to know how to belong to oneself. The greatest thing in the world is to know how to belong to oneself. Like, what comes to mind is this, like, we're kind of talking about this idea of radical self-acceptance. Yeah. Hi, Cat Houston TX713. Welcome. Welcome. Thanks for joining chat. Yeah, so this is what we do. We explore the heroes in ourselves, and we like try to figure out what it takes to live fearlessly and to punch back whenever life knocks us down. Today we're doing that in terms of self-esteem, which is pretty cool. Oh no, my head is tiny, with or without the headset. It is a tiny, tiny head, which is embarrassing because my husband has a giant head, or at least it looks giant next to mine. Yeah, like look, it's not going to get any teenier or any larger. Not really. And this is like the tinier headset I could get. I took a fencing class in like my first year in college, and I had to wear a child's fencing mask. The benefit was that it was clean. Nobody else used it, so I didn't have to like have other people sweat in my face. But yeah. Okay, where are we? Okay, so we've got one from Shannon L. Alder. She says, every woman that finally figured out her worth has picked up her suitcases of pride and boarded a flight to freedom, which landed in the Valley of Change. I'm guessing she's a feminist. Don't really know. She says, every woman that finally figured out her worth has picked up her suitcases of pride and boarded a flight to freedom, which landed in the Valley of Change. So take out like the feminist part and just say every human that finally figured out their worth picked up their suitcases of pride and boarded a flight to freedom, which landed in the Valley of Change. And that's so true, guys. Like, if you do not believe that you are worthy of love and belonging, why? What would ever galvanize you to take a chance, right? To go after your dreams, to grow and change in order to reach the really excellent things in life. Why would you do it? It would be like that journey sounds horrible, sounds incredibly challenging. Whereas if you can just practice radical self-acceptance, realize that your worth is immutable, it just is, yeah, you're going to be open to change and you're going to feel free, because all those prereqs we tell ourselves, man, those are the things that lock us up. My head looks smaller without the headset. Well, then I'm definitely keeping it on. Okay. So Ayanla Van Zant says, everything that happens to you is a reflection of what you believe about yourself. We cannot outperform our level of self-esteem. We cannot draw to ourselves more than we think we are worth. So everything that happens to you is a reflection of what you believe about yourself. We cannot outperform our level of self-esteem. We cannot draw to ourselves more than we think we are worth. There's a popular self-help author, and I don't remember his name or the book, but he talks about an upper limit barrier. And I'm sure you could Google upper limit barrier and find the guy and find the book. It's really good. Yeah, I do too, Mrs. Scott Evans. I agree with it. But he talks about this really interesting phenomenon where, like, you're going along and you're, like, following your dreams. You're going after what's really important to you. And all of a sudden, you reach a point where your behavior becomes very self-destructive. And you just kind of undo all of the success you've had. And he calls out the upper limit barrier, that essentially what happens is you got to the very top of what you believe you're worth, what you believe you're capable of, and you subconsciously then sabotage it all so you don't have to go beyond your comfort zone. And that's what this sounds like to me. Right, exactly. So yeah, that's like the converse. Like, if you don't believe what other people are telling you, then it's not going to affect you. You're just going to keep going. But yeah, like, so think about like a time where someone came to you with an amazing opportunity and you said no, like you weren't able to accept it for various fears, right? And then I was an actress for like 14 years, and when I first moved out to LA when I was 18, very early on, I got a phone call that was offering me a part on Malcolm in the Middle, where I was going to be Malcolm's girlfriend. Like, I don't even know if there was any lines involved. I really have no idea. I didn't audition for it. They just saw my picture. And, like, I think the camera's going to, like, pan to me, and they're going to be, like, that Michael and his brothers would be talking about his new girlfriend. They, like, cut to me and show me, right, and then go back. This is, like, my first, like, oh, my gosh, I'm going to be on a show. And I was on the phone for what feels like forever with that casting director. And I kept saying no. Like, I can't do it. I'm not going to do it. And I kept coming up with reasons like, oh, I've got to, I've got to help my mom. Like, I came up with, like, totally bullshit lies. And the casting director knew it. And they were like, no, you don't understand. Like, they really want you. This is important. This is going to do such wonders for you. And I turned it down. I turned it down because I didn't believe I was capable of doing it. I didn't believe I was worthy. That sucks. That would have been an amazing experience. Regardless of, like, what it would have done for my career, it just would have been fucking awesome, right? And that was one example that in my life where I let that happen to me. I'm sure some of you guys have those too. So if you don't believe you're worth it, if you don't believe you're worthy, it's, again, like that, the vulnerability required to say yes to an amazing opportunity isn't likely to be something that you have to offer. So M. Scott Peck says, until you value yourself, you won't value your time. And until you value your time, you will not do anything with it. Until you value yourself, you won't value your time. And until you value your time, you will not do anything with it. This one, so Upright Oracle, you mentioned you'll be worthy when you finish your book. And I have some friends who also are working on writing books and experiencing writer's block and like are experiencing like resistance, and they don't get down to write it as often as they would like. And that's what comes to mind with this quote. That it's like until and I think of it in terms of my own life too, because I avoid my creative endeavors. And it's like until I really truly value my worth. And for me, that comes with the fact that I'm unique. There is and never will be anybody else like me. So if I don't express my authenticity, whatever gift I've got to give will never happen, ever in the history of the universe. And until I really connect to that, like I'm not going to value my time, because I know that my span of life is limited. And if I'm that precious, that motivates me to use that time, right? Yeah, so I kind of think that's how this comes across for me. I have one more. So Nick Sheff says, as long as you look for someone else to validate who you are by seeking their approval, you are setting yourself up for disaster. You have to be whole and complete in yourself. No one can give you that. That's basically the gist of what we've been talking about. As long as you look for someone else to validate who you are by seeking their approval, you are setting yourself up for disaster. You have to be whole and complete in yourself. No one can give you that. Wow. Wow, wow. So I've got another Brene Brown video. I think it's like 4 minutes long. She's having a conversation with Oprah. Let me know if that's something you guys are interested in watching. It's directly about worthiness. It's going a little bit deeper into it. It's also something we can skip. So I won't put that on you guys if you don't want to watch it. Just let me know. Yeah, and then we'll do it. What was I doing? Okay, we got Tiki Meher. Perfect. We're gonna watch it. Ah, yes, we got fans of the videos. Fantastic. Yes, yes, yes. We are going to watch it then. All right, let me get us over there. Here we go. It's 4 minutes, guys.
I love in the TEDx talk, I think it was a TEDx talk, where you talk about the original definition of courage. Can you share that?
Yeah.
I love that.
I do too. It's from the Latin word cur, meaning heart.
Uh-huh.
And so the original definition was to share all of yourself, share your whole story with your whole heart. So an act of courage is an act of storytelling, which I think is true. I think so many of us, I watch Super Soul Sunday, and I love when you talk a lot about the ego.
Yes.
To me, I call the ego the hustler. He's my hustler.
Yeah, that's a good term for it.
Yeah, he's the hustler. And the ego says to me, you have no inherent worth. You got to hustle for it, baby. How fast you going to run? How high you going to jump? Mm-hmm. How many likes do you have on Facebook? How many comments do you have on that post? That's the hustle.
Yeah. And isn't it, we now live in a culture that measures ourselves, by how many likes we get on Facebook.
For sure.
Yeah, yeah.
We are in, I feel like, scarcity culture. Never enough. Never good enough, thin enough, rich enough, safe enough, certain enough. And what I think is interesting is, I wanted to get your thought on this, just because you've also been looking in the faces of people for the last many years, right?
Yes, yeah.
I started my research 6 months before 9/11. Obviously, coincidentally. We are afraid. I would say the last 12 years have been marked by a deep fear in our culture. It's like a collective post-traumatic response. Like all of a sudden.
Oh my God, I just had a big aha.
What?
I just had a big, finish speaking, but
Okay.
I got that in a big way.
No.
I hope everybody else, I hope other people got it too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
you know what?
Tell me.
No,
No,
you
you
finish.
go.
No, you go. No, that was such a big aha. That was
Tell
such
me. No, I can track
When you
that.
just said that, I just realized that we shifted from being on alert and afraid of whether it's the orange code or the yellow code. We somehow internalized that fear, and it shows up. It shows up in the bickering and the snarkiness and that we have internalized the fear. So we're not
That's
worried
it.
about what the code alert is anymore, because we think we're safe there. We got Homeland Security looking at that. But that fear has been internalized. That's what I heard you saying.
That's it. There is a thin.
That's it. I
got
that.
I got the high five.
Yeah.
No, I think there's like a thin film of terror wrapped around us. And so if it's not, I'm not safe enough, or I'm not secure enough, it's I'm not liked enough, I'm not promoted enough, I'm not loved enough.
I don't
Scarcity,
have enough.
I don't have enough.
I am not enough.
At the very bottom,
Yeah.
I'm not enough.
Yeah. Whoa, that's big. Big, 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 big. Somebody ring some bells. We need some bells
Ding,
to ring
ding.
on this show.
Ding, ding,
But that's
ding.
it.
No, that's
Ding.
it. And so guess what the number one casualty is of a scarcity culture?
What?
Vulnerability.
We shut down.
We shut down.
Because I'm not going to let you know.
No, because I'm
that
already scared.
I'm not
right.
all together.
Right.
Yeah.
And the thing is that people are like, oh, well, we lose a little vulnerability. But vulnerability is not just about fear and grief and disappointment. It's the birthplace of everything we're hungry for.
Creativity.
Joy, creativity, faith,
Yeah.
love.
Innovation and
Yeah.
all of that. Yes.
And the whole thing is there is no innovation and creativity without failure.
Ah, so true.
Period.
Terrifying.
So you got to be open enough to take the risk to fail.
Yeah.
Yep. What do you guys think about that? Ugh. It just rings so true for me, but maybe you guys can challenge it. Man. So, ew, this is okay. We are to the point where we get to have a power up. Yay! I have a new graphic. Ooh. Yeah. Okay, so this is where we really get, like, we dig in and we're going to complete the exercise we've been doing throughout this cast. So for those of you who are just joining us or haven't been here from the beginning, what you want to do is, like, rate your self-esteem, like where it is now on a scale of 1 to 10. So 1 being you have none, 10 being you have more than you possibly ever thought you could have. Yeah, you love the power up. So you do that. And then you want to think about, instead of yourself telling yourself this message, I am worthy of love and belonging, period, what we tend to do is put prerequisites onto it. So we say, I am worthy of love and belonging when I'm rich, when I'm beautiful, when I'm married, when I have kids, when I own a Tesla, whatever, right? Like they're infinite. So you want to write down some of yours. And once you do that, you'll be up to speed of where we're at. So, okay. So I want to ask you guys, how might your life change when you accept the idea that you're worth it just as you are? So that you don't need to change. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to hustle. You don't need to listen to the hustler. You don't need to do anything to be worthy of love and belonging. How might that change your life? Right? I would have a lot less anxiety about casting. You know, I would probably do it more often because I already love it, but it would be even more enjoyable. Like, I basically would only do the things that I absolutely had to do to survive, like to put food on the table, to keep a roof over my head. And then everything else I would probably only do if it made me happy and brought me meaning. Because everything else is like, what? It's just people pleasing, right? Like, if it's not about pleasing myself, what is it? Yeah, so yes, Buddha the hustler. Less stress. I love it. Keep them coming. Less anxiety, better mental health and physical health. Yes, and that is what research says. More peace. Yes. More peace, more peace, more peace. So whenever we rely on external things to give us self-esteem, we are denying our immutable worthiness. And in a very, very real way, we are rejecting ourselves and thus causing the event we fear the most. So if you get nothing else from today's cast but the idea of when you reject yourself, that's the ultimate rejection. Nobody's rejection can be worse than that. That might be enough to just get you to start questioning what do I have to do now to accept myself? And everything can change from there. So, how or when do you guys reject yourself? I'm thinking back to my celebration at the beginning of CAST, where I was telling you guys about how I had 3 versions of a coaching final I could choose to submit, like 3 that I could choose 1 to submit. And I could have gone with the safe session that would have pleased my teachers and guaranteed me a final, more like very close to a guarantee. Or I could do what I really wanted to do, what my heart was saying I should do, and submit the one that represents who I am as a coach the most, even though it was messy, and even though it may very well likely result in a fail. So I had a choice. Am I going to accept myself and submit the one that I wanted to submit, that was my authentic desire? Or was I going to reject myself and people please and play it safe? Right? And I'm really lucky and I'm grateful that I chose to not reject myself in that example. But there have been so many times where I did not choose self-acceptance. So, and then once you think about how you reject yourself, ask yourself how you might take responsibility for your acceptance. There's going to be lots of different ways that we can do this. In fact, if we were to throw them into chat, we'd see some pretty creative answers, I bet. Let's see. So something that comes to mind is, like, at the end of the day, I could just reflect on when I accepted myself and when I rejected myself. Right? Or before a big decision, I could just ask the question, am I accepting or rejecting myself? So those are just 2 things that I think. Thank you, Upright Oracle. I did challenge myself. Yes. Yes, the Mrs. Scott Evans, it sounds a little bit like, yeah, that's such a good point, because when we're avoiding something, we're giving into the fear. And if underneath that fear is the belief that we're not worth enough, we're not good enough, we're not blank enough, then yeah, by avoiding the thing you're afraid of, that is a form of rejecting yourself, because you're buying into the bullshit story. Yeah, oh, that's powerful. That is really powerful. Tika Meher, my example might be to not cover up my fat with an outer garment at the risk of others seeing the result of poor eating choices. No longer hiding. No longer hiding. Man, at some point, like, I would love to have some ladies on just to do and men too, just a conversation around the prerequisites we're getting from culture about what's beautiful, and how beauty is a prereq for somehow being worthy, because it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. Yeah. Okay. So here's the kicker. Here's the peak of our power up exercise. So look at your list of your prerequisites that you wrote down earlier, the ones that you're like, I'll be worthy of love and belonging when fill in the blank. And what you're going to do is you're going to write an antidote to that negative self-talk. And that antidote is going to, and by doing that process of going from the negative bullshit to the antidote, you are taking responsibility for that negative belief. And you're going to have the antidote then to call upon in the future, should you choose to. So, and let those, the little pieces that came from the quotes that inspired you, let that like channel through you, or just use your notes to inspire you for the antidotes. And, Deuternico already has one. The antidote. Do not waste what remains of your life in speculating about your neighbors unless with a view to some mutual benefit. To wonder what so-and-so is doing and why, or what he is saying or thinking or scheming. In a word, anything that distracts you from fidelity to the ruler within you. Oh, I love Marcus Aurelius. The ruler within you means a loss of opportunity for some other task. Yes, Deuternico, you came through, man. That is really good. I want to read Marcus Aurelius. Like, you know, like his like philosophical tome was basically, I believe, his journal that people kept. Like, I wish that was my journal. Like, fuck. Right? Like, I'll be worthy of love and belonging when my journal is just like Marcus Aurelius's. Oh, man. Okay, so as you're looking at your prereqs and writing the antidote, here's one way to do it. And you are absolutely capable of finding your own way to creating an antidote, but this was my way. So I realize that each prereq tells me what I believe I'm currently lacking, right? So the antidote statement will reveal how I already have what I thought I lacked. And I think maybe the most important part of this is that the antidote is only going to be powerful if it rings true for you. And this goes back to the reality comment. Like, it has to fit in with what is real, right? So I'm going to do an example that's personal. So I'll be worthy when I'm rich. My antidote that I came up with was my authenticity makes me successful. So for me, when I went, wow, okay, when I'm rich, what do I believe I'm lacking that richness would fix? Like, it's not security, like that I'll have more food or whatever. It's not security. I was like, what is it? I was like, oh, I will feel successful when I'm rich. So money equals success. Okay. Well, I was like, well, hell, I know that ain't true. That is not necessarily true at all. And I was like, okay, so what does make me successful? What do I already have that makes me feel successful? And I was like, my authenticity. My authenticity makes me successful. So that's something that fills in, like, that brings to light that I don't lack success. I don't. And it was something that's true for me. Now, that may not be true for you, so my antidote wouldn't work, right? Hi, Mahadra. I have a problem. Can you help me? Well, potentially. I don't know. Maybe we all can. Go ahead and put it in chat. Yeah. So look at your prereqs, ask what it's telling you about what you lack, and then come up with the antidote that rings true for you. And while you're doing that, I'll just go through mine to give you some time and to show you some examples. So I have another one that says, I'll be worthy when I'm married and have kids. Now, I am married, but I don't have kids, so I guess I could have just said when I have kids. And I was like, wow, like, why do I believe that? Like, what's going on there? And I was like, oh, there's something about having children that makes the world a better place in my belief system. That somehow I'm not making the world a better place because I'm not having and raising kids that could be fucking fantastic human beings. They could be awful, but they could be fantastic. So I go, okay, well, how am I making the world a better place now? And I go, my coaching makes the world a better place. There's my antidote. Yeah, right? Like, it's kind of cool. So another one I have is I'll be worthy when I have my master's degree. I was like, okay, what is going on there? Why do I think worthiness comes from a master's degree? And I was like, oh, because I don't feel like I'm an expert at anything, that somehow by being an expert, I'll be respected and accepted. So I was like, okay, well, what am I an expert at? I'm like, oh, I'm an expert at living fully. Like, that is what my career is around, right? Like, I'm an expert at living fully. Now, I gotta, like, being honest, that doesn't quite ring true for me yet. Because I don't believe anybody can actually ever be an expert. Like, there's just too much to know. So let's try a different one. I'm going to rewrite it. I'm respected I'm respected because I know what the answer is. It has to do with the fact that I genuinely care. Like, I genuinely love people. Yeah. I'm respected because I genuinely care about others. Okay, that's good. That rings true. That's a good antidote for me. Okay, see, our new friend is okay. So I am a 19-year-old guy and an atheist. My mom is a Jehovah's Witness and doesn't want to see me anymore because I don't believe in God. What should I do? Oh man. Well, I never tell people what they should do because like you are the only one capable of really knowing what's true for you and like what the right course of action is for you. But I mean, basically, that is a really hard situation to be in. Really, really hard. And I tell you, when, like, we've been talking a lot about, like, acceptance and rejection, right? And that our self-esteem is tied to, like, to have high self-esteem happens because we believe, like, we accept ourselves and we stop rejecting ourselves. And low self-esteem happens when we give that power to other people. And we're all biologically programmed basically to start off by giving that power to other people. So we actually have to take it back. We have to take responsibility for it. And this is an example of a very like influential relationship, right? Like mom and child and experiencing a form of serious rejection. You know, for your belief or your lack of belief. Yeah, man. I feel for you. It's hard. I know you'll like, it's definitely something that like you'll make it through. And I guess just in context of all of this, like, even if your mom like never like comes around, like ultimately you're okay. Like you are really okay because you accept yourself, right? And like you're living authentic to what you believe. And whenever we really embrace our authenticity, it's an act of self-love and acceptance. So you've got your own back, and we're all here, right? Like we all have your back. You're not alone. So I'm also a non-believer. And my father is gay, and his parents were really, really religious, and they never, like, they kept talking to him, kind of, like, they kept talking to him, but they never accepted him. And so I saw, you know, one step removed, that kind of family rejection, and my heart goes out to you, for sure, for sure. And you really are, like, you are so okay, because regardless of whether or not your mom comes around, like you've got your own back, and you're true to yourself, right? Yeah, so yay. Other people are chiming in too. Yeah. Okay. So I guess I just want to see, like, remembering back to the beginning of all of this and your self-esteem on a scale of 1 to 10. Dude, all you guys that were here early on in chat, you had really high self-esteems. So yeah, I agree, Duder Nico, that difference of opinion and perspective shouldn't really be a thing of conflict. Like, we as human beings fight over ideas all the time, and we reject people over ideas all the time. And it's like okay, let's apply this to self-esteem, right? Like, Upright Oracle said peace. Like, if I truly accepted myself and loved myself and took responsibility for it, stopped asking for other people to give it or take it from me, right? Like, take that power back for myself, I'd have peace. And that's true, right? Like, if my self-worth can't be touched unless I give it away, like, no idea is threatening to me, right? On that kind of a level. Yeah. Hi, Dantapola. Welcome. Hi. Yeah. That's, I had no idea how much insight I would have around self-esteem, and how maybe it's like impacting the world at large here. Yeah. So for those just joining us, what I do is I really honor the hero within ourselves, and together we explore what it takes to live fearlessly and to punch back whenever life knocks us down. That's at least what I do on Thursdays. I have like a badass book club and stuff like that, and gaming, of course. Yeah, I love Upright Oracle coming in with, "You are your answer." It's very oracle-y. Okay, so using that same scale, how worthy do you guys feel now on a scale of 1 to 10? Like, after going through my antidotes, I feel like a genuine 9, 10, which is high for me. So yeah, so then the kicker question is to ask yourself what it would take to move up the scale like 1 or 2 more points, and to take that and turn it into something you're going to do in the next day or two. So let me see. I'm going to try to come up with an example. Okay, so oh wow, I did not even finish my antidotes for you guys. It's not that important. So, okay. One of mine is my false belief is I'll be worthy when I never make mistakes. My antidote is my messiness is inspiring. So I'm a 9. I'm a 9 on my self-esteem scale. To get to a 10, I'm going to look at my antidotes and go, ooh, where am I not living up to this antidote? So my messiness is inspiring. And that's someone that comes up to me. So I'm going to challenge myself to live as if that's true. Because once we put it in our body enough, it really does become true. So what can I do in the next 1 to 2 days to embrace the idea that my messiness is inspiring? That one might take me a little while. I guess like I could just check in with you guys and just basically ask if any of my vulnerable sharing inspires you, right? Because I don't show up on Twitch and like act like this like perfect professional, right? Like I'm like, oh no, like this week I kind of failed here, and like I just shared with you guys like 6 of my bullshit beliefs, right? And my hope is that that's inspiring, that messiness is inspiring. So, so in other words, like my action item could be to reach out for feedback and actually test that belief. Yeah. Okay. Cool. I love that you guys are just chatting it up with yourself. That makes me very, very happy. It's one of my goals for this. All right. So, and then once you have your action item, like get specific about when you're going to do it. Like set a time frame, like Monday at noon, right? Like get real specific, and decide how you want to be accountable. So this could be like you're going to tell a friend what you're going to do. You're just going to put it on your calendar so you get a reminder, or you're going to email it to me. I would love to see what you're going to do to bring your antidotes to life and to move your self-esteem up the scale. And that's at info@punchlifeback.com or Catherine@punchlifeback.com. And so I guess like to kind of wrap this up is the right way to phrase it, but what do we do then when our self-esteem takes a hit? So what's going to happen, and this is inevitable, is you're going to leave this cast and some sort of adversity is going to happen, and your self-esteem is going to go, right? So what do? You want to bring awareness to the dip, and then get really curious with yourself and ask yourself, what story did you just tell yourself? Because without that story, you wouldn't perceive the rejection, right? Like you're interpreting the adversity as some sort of rejection, some sort of affirmation that your prerequisites are true, that you aren't smart enough, that you're not pretty enough, that you're not thin enough, that you're not enough. So you got to get curious, write up whatever that prereq is, and then do the work to come up with its antidote. And you rinse and repeat, guys. You do that over and over and over again ad nauseum for the rest of your life. Congratulations. It's not easy. It is not easy, but it is absolutely worth it, right? Because on the other side of low self-esteem is all the things you're hungry for in life, as Brene Brown said.